Okay. You know, there is a scene in the middle of the film when the girl, Madeleine, tries to kill herself. Okay, it's a fake. We don't know it yet. Then the hero, James Stewart, saves her, drives her home, puts her into his bed, and of course undresses her so that her clothes will dry up. And then we have a long so-called panning shot, camera moving. You see above a kitchen sink all her underwear drying up, and then the camera moves to the door of the bedroom and so on. Now do something very simple. Put the image on freeze at that very moment when you see underwear, and look what you see. It's not underwear. It's just abstract pieces of cloth. You know what was the reason? Then I inquired into it. I learned in a book. The Hayes Code of Hollywood censorship, which was still alive, said no, insisted that it shouldn't be really underwear, because if it were to be underwear, then this would be a proof that James Stewart saw her naked. This cannot be admitted because they are not married. Now what's so mystical here? The mystical thing is that we ordinary viewers, we think that we see underwear. So again, whom was the censorship protecting? Obviously not us. It was again that innocent gaze of the big other. So again, we have a quite similar logic there. And I think that this idea that the big other shouldn't know is what is, as it were, the zero level of ideology. Probably you know the standard joke. It's repeated all the time. We all know it. I'm almost embarrassed to say it, about a madman who thinks he's a piece of grain, corn or whatever, and it's cured, but then comes running back, and the psychiatrist asks him, but what's the problem? The guy says, I met a chicken and I was afraid the chicken will eat me. And the psychiatrist said, but you know that you are not a piece of seed of corn, but a human being. And you know, okay. The guy says, I know it, but does the chicken know it? Now, I think this is quite a realistic joke. This is how it works. A whole country can fall apart from this. I think this was maybe the key reason that Yugoslavia fell apart. The chicken was Tito, the president. In what sense? It's now clear from some memoirs that the inner circle of nomenclatura knew it from the early mid-70s that the economic situation is catastrophic. They knew that harsh measures will have to be taken. But they, at the same time Tito was old, dying, they wanted Tito to die happy. The chicken shouldn't have known it. So literally they accumulated debt in a couple of years, $15 billion, just to keep Tito happy. Yugoslavia still appeared prosperous and so on and so on. Or, to give a more dignified, not such a cynical example, think about something much more pathetic. How, for example, when parents fight, they have a small child, they fight, they're on the edge of divorce, but the usual game is, let's hide it from the child. Let's pretend in the eyes of the child that everything is okay. Things are here much more mysterious, I claim, because usually, of course, the child knows, but he pretends not to notice, you know. This is, I think, the true mystery of the symbolic system, how appearances matter, they function. Even if we all know, and even if we all know that we all know, still appearances still function. So, okay, let me now, do I have another just 10 short minutes maybe, if you allow me, if people will not die, because I want, okay, very quickly, what I wanted to develop is now, what can we do? What am I preaching here? Should we respect appearances, or should we, on the other hand, go for this direct obscenity or whatever? I think it depends. Both work. On the one hand, appearances sometimes can be of help, appearances in the sense of simple politeness, what you obey. For example, I was always fascinated by a beautiful story from apartheid South Africa. I read it somewhere, of how at big demonstrations, police was disturbing the black crowd. Among the blacks was a nice lady, nicely dressed, who was, of course, running away. A white policeman was with a, how do you call it, with a stick, was running after her. Then something very comical happened. The lady lost one of her shoes. And the policeman, although a racist and so on, at that moment, he automatically reacted with this automatic politeness. You see a lady losing her shoe, he picked the shoe, here, lady. And then something miraculous happened. The lady looked at him, they looked at each other, and what should he do now? Put the shoe on, and then we, he was totally embarrassed, he just turned around, thank you, lady, and walked away. See, this is, the lesson is not deep in his heart, he was not a racist. Probably he was. But appearances, politeness did its role. On the opposite hand, I think that, and this is my problem with political correctness and so on, I think, on the other hand, that, how should I put it? To have a true contact with another as a neighbor, you cannot do it without obscenity. Obscenity is how do you signal to someone that it's not just this polite respect and so on, that you are truly a friend? It has to be a moment of obscenity. And here, if I may repeat an old story, which is my favorite, it really happened to me. How did I become truly a friend when I was serving in 75-76 Yugoslav army? I became a friend with an Albanian soldier. They're very patriarchal, you shouldn't touch their father, mother, and so on. So we were just friends. But one morning, when the soldier, met me, instead of the usual good morning, he told me, I fuck your mother. Now I knew this was an offer to real friendship. No? He then looked at me questioningly. He wanted an appropriate answer, and you can believe me, I don't have problems with this. I immediately snapped back, go ahead after I finish with your sister. No, this is the thing. And you know what was so interesting? Now comes the miracle. After this was the signal, now we are true friends. But this did not mean that in this boring, obscene way, we were then all the time telling dirty jokes to each other. No, the only thing that changed is that every morning when we met, instead of good morning, we even didn't pronounce the whole phrase. Not even as a joke, just he told me, mother, I said sister. Just not even with a smile. This meant we are still friends. This was kind of a stand-in, a guarantee. Now, of course, I'm well aware what here is wrong in this example. Two things are wrong. First, it's a very patriarchal one. It's basically a joke about men exchanging women, no? So, the least I can say for the feminists among you is that I would like to be in a society where two women meet and one say, fuck your husband, go ahead after I finish with your brother, whatever. It would be nice to imagine the other. The second thing is that we were equal. If, for example, if I were to be an officer, no, it wouldn't be good for the other guy to approach me and tell me, fuck your mother or what, no? So this, okay, I don't have time, because what I could develop here is how I think that this is why I find the figure of postmodern master, which they no longer want to be called masters, it's coordinator, no, I just coordinate and so on. The catch is that they are still masters, those who are the bosses, but they like to pretend that they are really one of us. So if you go to these ultra-modern American companies, the boss, you know, dresses ordinary, comes to you, tells you a dirty joke, let's take a drink and so on, but still remains the boss. This, I think, if anything, makes things worse. So, okay, really now, to conclude just with a concluding comment. So, do we really live in post-ideological era? People think we do, and the main reason is that, officially at least, Today, nobody takes ideology seriously. Who cares about it? It's abstract. It's, I mean, today the official